What do you see happening in the market? Because I do love the fact that yours is empirically driven and you're looking at data as opposed to people who go, well, I don't know, I kind of feel like.
Right, yeah. And also we've got this geographic lens as well. So what I would say, and most of your audience will be North American, is that market has got higher levels of optimism and slightly better performance than, let's say, the UK and Europe, which has not necessarily ground the same level of results out through the tougher times as maybe the North Americans have. I put that down to a couple of things. I think in the North American market, your clients, i.e. the people that are paying for you, your expertise, for your engagements in your work, they've got slightly bigger checks and wallets than on the other side of the Atlantic. And therefore, if you've got higher revenue engagements, almost by de facto, you will have better margins. And if you've got better margins, it should lead to more disposable cash that you can then reinvest in the business, in technology, in sales and marketing efforts. Now, obviously in the UK and Europe, we still have some massive companies and some massive spenders on professional services. Mm-hmm. But that's an interesting starting point. If we then go like down another level into the actual types of firms that are really successful versus those that are maybe just on an even keel, there's two real areas that I've seen more explosive growth. IT and technology consultancies, data and AI focused businesses, and then some businesses aligned to the explosive North American Silicon Valley SaaS vendors. And if you've got a professional services firm latched onto one of those, and if they don't have a huge internal consulting team, some of those have also done particularly well. Outside of data, AI, technology, which feels very obvious, then environment and sustainability for a period of time was doing very, very well. There was growth in revenue, growth in headcount, solid margins. There was lots of private equity sniffing around. There was plenty of mergers and acquisitions. There was plenty of deals to be had. Now, maybe it's hit a little bit of a stumbling block because of some government policy, but we can't really see whether that's going to play out too much in the future. Your more classic management and strategy consultancies, maybe in North America, that are focused on a specific sector or a specific like region or state, Midwest, California, those tend not to have had the same level of explosive growth as those other subsectors that we've seen.
Okay. And so when we start thinking about, if we're a boutique consultancy, and let's take North America, you were just talking about the fact that there's, the benefit of North America is there might be bigger checks, which of course, also opens up opportunities for failure. Like the bigger the complexity, the more room there can be for failure. But the benefit of something like CMap is I can take on those bigger projects and I can start to understand when a project goes south or if I'm not doing well with it. So I get that. But if I'm a boutique, am I now struggling to win the business against the bigger firms because there is more separation between the types of work we're doing, or are boutiques, is this going to be a golden era for boutiques?
That's a really great point. So, and not one I've dug into previously. So yeah, let's go into that. So definitely in North America, because the professional services buyer pool not only has bigger wallets, but it's also bigger in volume and value. You definitely have more competitive tension against the bigger firms. So there's more RFPs, there's more pipeline opportunities, there's more sales won by boutiques against the bigger four in North America than in UK and Europe, for sure. What does that mean? Yeah, it has meant that in North America, because the bigger firms are starting to reduce some of their rates or throw bodies onto projects, that definitely has meant there's an increased competitive tension for boutiques against the bigger firms. However, if we look at the actual growth rates and the revenues associated with those boutiques, those haven't necessarily slowed, which tells me that, or what I can infer from that, is they were still winning against them. So the big firms are coming down, they're worried, they've got huge challenges with AI and what that's going to do for their business model and how they deliver and their pricing. But boutiques, because they're fast and nimble and have got like more specific domain expertise, that's probably why they're still winning out. So I listen to lots of experts. We're both part of Collective 54. Greg Alexander is saying like this is the golden era for the boutiques.
Mm-hmm.
I think based on what we're seeing, probably right. And I guess what it's showing is if you are the boutique and you're up against some of those bigger firms, don't crumble based on price. Like don't, obviously it's competitive, so you will worry, but don't like lose your nerve if you're up, if the services buyer is saying, oh, hang on, we're also going to look at these different options. Like if you've got something truly differentiated and truly specific that you know those bigger firms can't offer, there's still an opportunity for you to go and win that engagement.
Well, I agree with that. And this is a period of change, right? I mean, when we bring AI into the services that we provide and we are able to shift very, very quickly, I mean, that is the benefit of a period of time like this. It's just like, back when the internet era, the big firms, of course, eventually they got all those big, they were awarded the big business, but there was a very long period of time where the small companies, the boutiques, were coming up and they were growing and scaling faster because they could go very deep very quickly and they could adapt and change. And that's what I think is really interesting right now, is just, when we start talking about, oh, consulting is dead because of AI, I'm actually the opposite of that. I think there is so much that is needed as we start to figure out how companies transform around AI that, this is an incredible opportunity for consultancies.
I agree. I put out things like the death of consulting because I want to be provocative and also
because you were salacious.
Yeah, and I'm copying the headlines of the FT and Bloomberg. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. The death of consulting would not be good news for me or for the business that I am in. So we are very firmly a believer that exactly it's an opportunity for the boutiques who we champion and we serve to differentiate themselves.